Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And I was just watching a video. And while I was watching that video, because the video was about people calling black people the N word, and I was asking myself, why don't black people have racial slurs for other people? Why don't we have good racial slurs for other people? Because our racial slur has gone around the world and back. Everybody knows our racial slur. Everybody calls us the same racial slur because they are trying to assimilate into whiteness. They are trying to fit into the hierarchy that America has set that puts us at the bottom, except we're not in the hierarchy. I have just decided that we're not in the hierarchy. They can have the hierarchy. We don't want to have, as far as I'm concerned, black Americans don't have anything to do with them, and we are not a part of the hierarchy. We'll let them suck it out about who's at the top and who's at the bottom, but we are like Bennett. We ain't in it.
Black people don't generally use racist slurs when we are referring to other ethnic groups. Now, of course, there are individual black people that do and all of that, but culturally speaking, black Americans, we don't do that, right? And it's one of those things where we are constantly, when we find out somebody has been using the N-word or had in the past, it's like, oh, well, it was just a phase. Everybody kind of goes through that. No, everybody doesn't. That's not normal in our community or normal behavior or acceptable behavior to have such hatred and visceral for people that you would refer to them in a derogatory way. Now, again, not all black people, but culturally speaking, most of us, right?
And she's right. Most of us don't, on a regular basis, just call other people racial slurs. It's just inhumane and it's derogatory, and most of us don't do it. But why? But why? It's not because we're not creative, because we are. We have created a lot of things, we've done a lot of innovations, and we have a lot of discoveries under our belt. But a racial slur is really not about creativity, it's about power, hierarchy, and permission to dehumanize. So it's a way of dehumanizing a person and making them feel less than human. So, what makes a slur work? Why does the N word work? Because a slur isn't just a mean word. A slur is a verbal weapon backed by a system, and we know it well. A slur works when the group using it has the power to block your housing, get you fired, call the police and be believed, shape laws and policies, and control media narratives, like our press does. And they call it freedom of press, but it's really the freedom to oppress. A slur is basically a shortcut for saying you are beneath me, and the world agrees. So when we think, why don't we have slurs for other groups of people? The answer is because we have never had the institutional power to make a word dangerous. We can hurt their feelings and we can roast. We can even drag somebody's whole lineage, but we can't create a word that comes with systemic consequences. We can call you every kind of name in the book, but we don't have the power to affect anybody's life or livelihood. So the racial slur that's used against us come with consequences. The people who call us those words can do awful things to us. Now, these other people who are coming here, these immigrants who are using it, they don't have any power. They're just they're just grifters, really. They're just grifters, and they're trying to assimilate into a society that they're not a part of. But when black people try to insult white people, the worst that happens is somebody gets offended on Reddit. There's no job loss, there's no police response, no congressional hearing, no national panic. Because the slur only has power when the system reinforces it. If the system doesn't punish the target, the word can't hit. It's like trying to swing a sword made of air. You can swing it with all your might, but nothing cuts. That's why upward slurs don't land. They're not backed by anything. So we can call somebody a name, but it doesn't mean anything. It might hurt their feelings and they won't like it, but we can't back it up with action. Language follows power. If we look at history, empires create slurs. This empire created our slur. Colonizers create slurs. Police states create slurs. Majorities create slurs. Slurs are tools of domination. They're propaganda in one word. Oppressed groups don't create slurs, they create culture. And look at the culture we've created. We've created AAVE, signifying the dozens, roasting, wordplay, rhythm, and slangs that become global within months. Everybody uses our slangs. We created linguistic innovation, not linguistic violence, because our language was never about controlling others. It was about surviving, resisting, and communicating under pressure. And we really did communicate under pressure. And here is the good news. We really are too advanced as a people for slurs. Black people don't need slurs. We have entire art forms built around language. A good black roast can end an argument, end a friendship, end a whole social circle, and end somebody's confidence for the next 3 fiscal quarters. We don't need one word insults. We do monologues. We do metaphors. We do character assassination with rhythm. A slur is lazy. A roast is a craft. Black language is so advanced that a slur would honestly be a downgrade. And that's the truth. And most black men can roast. Most of them can roast. You let them get mad and they start talking about people. Instead of fighting, they roast. And they're good at it. So our language evolved not to dominate, but to survive, signal, connect, and create. Because the slaves had to come up with a whole system for communicating with each other because they couldn't speak their native language and they hadn't learned English well enough to really communicate with each other. So they had to come up with a different language. And now Black American language is the blueprint for global culture. Everybody copies us. Everybody borrows from us. Everybody wants our rhythm, our slang, our style, our voice. We don't have slurs, but we have influence. And I heard one Asian man talking about, and they people like our music. I said, oh, you mean the music that you have copied from black people? Because nobody likes Asian music by itself. They like the music that Asians have copied from black people. So we don't have slurs, but we have influence. And influence lasts longer than slurs. So the next time we're tempted to ask, why don't we have good racial slurs for other people? We can say to ourselves, because slurs come from power. And we weren't given power, but we built culture instead. And look around, culture won. Okay, y'all. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about this video and have a good evening.